Hi, I'm back, but this is in a different place. You see, I was taking a walk up the mountain here where I live, and as I was walking amongst the stones and the rocks and the trees, like you see behind me, it reminded me of a trip that I did a little while back when I met the Zebra Songololos. You might remember them. They live up north, not where we normally live. Further north, up where the wildlife is, where there's big forests and mountains and, there's some fantastic places that they visit and go to. But this is a story about the family of Songololos, the Zebra Songololos or the striped Songololos, that went out early one morning before the dew had evaporated off the leaves, and they went for a walk. They decided they were going to go and explore the neighboring area. You see, they'd played so much close to where they lived that this time they thought, let's go a little bit further and see what's over on the other side. And so that's what they did. They took off, walked through the wet grass, found a little footpath. Well, a Songololo footpath is very narrow, but they found this footpath and off they went down the footpath and they followed it. And eventually they came to a place that they thought, this might be a fun place to play. So they stopped and they played a bit. And the kind of games they had there was a kind of bush, nearly like a grass bush that grew, but it was strong enough to hold them, but thin enough to bend. And other Songololos did this with real grass in other places. They climbed up the stalk, and as it bent over, they let go and they fell down onto the leaves underneath the stalk. And they were doing this, it was nearly like a jump off the edge, but the edge was a stick that they climbed up. After a while they said, let's move on. So they moved on. While they were walking, suddenly the ground started shaking. It was as though there was movement under their feet. Oh, it's an earthquake, it's an earthquake. Quick, 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 they said. Let's hide under the rocks and the shrubs and the things on the side of the path here. And they scurried along to try and hide behind the rocks and under the undergrowth to be protected from this earthquake that was coming. The earthquake got more and more, the ground vibrated, and then suddenly everything was quiet. A little while later, there was a sniffing sound or a blowing sound, like a and they didn't know what that was. One of them, a brave one, peeped out next to the rocks. What did he see? There was this massive, massive thing. He'd never seen one of these before. And again, that blowing sound, right there where they were. This can't possibly be an earthquake, they said. And then there was another rumbling and the ground moved a little bit. One of the older ones, he was sort of an older teenage Songololo, he started peeping out behind the rock. Uh-oh, he said, we better be very still. This is an elephant. Yep, that's what had happened. An elephant had come past and was sniffing the leaves and saw the rocks where the Songololos were hiding and was sniffing around trying to find something to eat because, well, he was nibbling early in the morning. And when he walked, it felt like an earthquake to the Songololos. Well, they stayed very, very quiet, very still. There they were, hiding under the rock. And after a while, they heard the footsteps and felt the movement get softer and softer. And then the teenage Songololo peeped out and said, I think he's gone. Well, with that, there was a sudden blast of air flying past them and what sounded like horses running. But it wasn't horses. It was a couple of meerkats that had come by after the elephant. Oh gosh, we better get back under the rock. And they scurried back under the rocks, hiding from the meerkats, because they knew some of the meerkats used to forage for Songololos and maybe even eat Songololos. And there they hid, there they hid. After a while, let's check if it's safe now, they said. They came out, looked up and down the path that way and then this way down the path. Oh, looks like we can carry on. And they carried on up the path a little further. By now, the dew had been evaporated. All the leaves were dry. And there they found a place where there was some lovely, lovely stuff that they could forage on. So they didn't have to bring a picnic basket because they found it on the ground. There they had a lovely rest because by now they were all so scared and tired and shaking and a little bit nervous. And then they decided we're going to go back by a different path. This path took them over a lot of rocks, some steep rocks, some shallow rocks, but eventually they got back down to the level where they were living, and they crossed through the veld that they recognized, and by the time they got home they were so exhausted. But goodness me, you should have heard the stories they told. They told their parents there was a huge herd of elephants when there was actually only one. But it felt like a herd because the vibrations and the sniffing and the snorting and the excitement on their part was so big. Well, that's the story of those Songololos. It just happened suddenly in the middle of nowhere. But I'll be back and tell you another story sometime. You take care of yourself. Bye for now.